Okay, is this thing on? Are we live? Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Alder Hour, coming to you live from not very sunny, but live from Las Vegas. Let's have a cheer for Las Vegas. Come on, there we are. Hooray! Hooray! You see, we don't normally do this face to face, so we're just kind of feeling things out and all that sort of stuff. We've got a great show coming up for you today. The Order Hour is part of the Purple Acorn Network. To see all of our shows, go to purpleacornnetwork.com. You can also follow Purple Acorn on LinkedIn, and this show is available as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. So to kick off, I would like to say a big Las Vegas hello to my two amazing co-hosts. How are you doing? How's Vegas?
Hi, I'm doing so well. I'm really happy to be here in person, finally meeting the two of you and the whole crew. It's been amazing so far.
Yeah, absolutely. We've never actually all met before, have we? So it's cool. Yeah.
Same. Yeah, I'm super excited to finally meet you guys in person and just be here and have fun.
Excellent. And what have you got coming up for us on the show later?
I'm talking about conference swag or experiences. I think it's fitting because we're here right now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Jocelyn, what do you have for us?
Thank you very much. So it is a little story about an employee who was working remotely and left and ended up taking a job in the office and is having a really hard time adjusting. So we'll talk about tips and tricks to help you as an employee get better adjusted and you as an HR professional, how to support that employee best.
Fantastic stuff. Well, I'm looking forward to talking to both of you. So I guess we should move into our first segment, which is Points and Pints. Yeah. Okay, so I'm having trouble juggling my pint and my points and my microphone. So I'm going to try really hard to do this. Hang on a second. Well, let's start. So if you've not seen the show before, Points and Pints, thank you so much. That's it. Points and Pints is where we have a drink and we talk about headlines that we've spotted this week connected to HR and talent. So first of all, what's everyone drinking?
I'm drinking a Stella right there, but I didn't want my face straight in the camera, so I left it there.
Excellent. I have an Emerald Isle mocktail in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, which obviously is today. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone who is Irish, part Irish, or identifies as Irish, and everyone else. It's an interesting kind of mix of drinks. Roni, you've got the same, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got the same one, and I was telling Matt, I like it. I think it tastes like that syrup that they put on snow cones.
Yeah, it's kind of like sugar, mint, and ice, kind of all mixed in together. I wish I'd had a Stella actually. That would have been probably been a bit better. Okay, so our first headline is all about AI. Strangely, and this article is basically saying that companies are being too quick to hire people with AI skills. Which kind of sounds a bit counterintuitive because obviously AI skills are what everyone wants at the moment. But when you read it, it's basically saying that there's a kind of a gold rush on for people with AI tech skills, and there's a very, very small pool of talent. So all the companies are going for the same pool of talent. You have companies who don't really have much of an employer brand in terms of hiring for those skills, no talent strategy, literally just throwing money at the problem, not even really scoping the roles out, properly, and a real issue kind of understanding the soft skills that go with the technical skills that they need. Now, we've seen this before. We saw this all the way back in the late 90s with the e-commerce boom. We saw it with cloud computing. We saw it with mobile. We saw it with social. We saw it with all the technologies that have kind of happened. There is this sort of gold rush for talent, and people don't really think it through properly. I suppose what's different this time is things are just moving so much quicker. So there's kind of a panic to get AI skills and AI tech in your business, and that really is kind of part of it. From my perspective, I think it's one of the things where companies really need to take a step back and make sure they've kind of got a proper strategy around this. And also, in terms of developing their own people, I think that's really important as well. Small personal anecdote. Back in the dot-com boom, I was building a internet development and marketing team for the company that I work for, and we just could not get the talent. We could not get the people that we wanted because we didn't really have the brand to do it. We couldn't pay the money that we needed to do it. So in the end, we actually we hired people for potential. We hired people straight out of university, people who had the basic skills, but perhaps not everything that we were looking for, and it was really successful. So I think it's just one of those things where organizations need to pause, really think about what they're doing, and whether they want to kind of enter this this kind of AI skills deathmatch, for want of a better word. What does everyone else think? Who's got the microphone? Jocelyn, what do you think?
I've got it. So yeah, you pretty much covered everything. Thank you for that.
It's my pleasure.
There are a few things that I think about this. I mean, I think for one, when people talk about maybe moving a little too quickly, part of that isn't just about little too quickly because maybe you don't need the resources right now. It's more about, is the organization ready to actually bring in these folks that have this type of background, and are they prepared to backfill them too internally? And I think we're still seeing, we've talked about this in other shows too, that there's definitely a lack of the learning and development side as it relates to these skills that are required to build a workforce that can support the AI needs that we have as businesses. So, we'll talk about this in a minute, but I think change management is really huge and absolutely cannot be forgotten in this scenario, because so much is going to change in an organization. Everything from the way that we recruit to literally probably the way we terminate people. So a lot there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also, we're in the position where the skills needed and the tech skills needed are going to change so quickly. Hiring someone for the skills that they have right now, however good those technical skills are, they could be out of date in a few weeks. And if you don't have a strategy behind it, then it's going to be a big issue for you, essentially. We're competing with a pipe band at the moment, which is good fun. This never happens when we do this on the internet. Rona, what do you think?
I mean, you guys both pretty much covered everything that I was thinking. At the end of the day, we've said it a lot. Execution without strategy really is like a recipe for disaster. And yeah, I think we're still being very short-sighted, not really thinking through the things that are needed. Like you mentioned, the development of the skills, and it's changing so fast that I think we need to focus on that piece of it and not so much on the like hiring for that, because the skills that are there today are going to be probably irrelevant tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I think that actually brings us nicely onto our next article. So I'll just wait for the nod that's up. So the next article looks at basically CHA priorities. So it's kind of like the headline is slightly sensationalist, I feel. But it's basically saying that recruitment was the number one priority for CHROs last year, which I think we might take some exception to. But it's down there to 7th place, and developing your own talent is apparently number one. This is according to a recent report from SHRM. So digging into that a little bit, it's actually leadership development that they're saying is number one, and hiring talent has kind of moved to number 7. And in some ways, it kind of contradicts what we saw in the last article, which was saying that companies weren't paying enough attention to developing their leadership and all of those kind of things. I suppose the interesting bit for me, it talks about human-centered leadership, and we're obviously moving into a world that's becoming even more dominated by technology, and there's still massive human issues to deal with there, whether that's change management, whether that's shifting the focus of the business and moving employees in and moving exiting employees, moving people with different skills in. And it seemed to be that was really what this was driving at, that actually, as we always do, we need great leaders to manage those processes. So I think we might take exception to the to the kind of the ranking and the stuff behind it. And this isn't the full report. We're just seeing a kind of a press release turned into an article. But I think the human centered leadership thing is definitely interesting. Rona, what do you think?
I mean, I definitely think that the article really, I don't think we were number one priority last year. I mean, I think a lot of people that are out of work because recruiting wasn't a priority would probably agree with me on that one. Leadership and development is important, always has been. I think the mix of how things like going from 1 to 7 is probably a bit, not probably, I'm going to say it, it's short-sighted. And it really isn't what I think the ranking should be. Definitely developing your employees internally is always should be a priority. But I think also finding the right people, hiring, keeping that, because it's natural. There's going to be attrition. It's like recruiting is still and should still be a priority, and it shouldn't be that low in the priority list.
Offended recruiter talking there. I think that's a good point. I think that with the best will in the world, we talk about developing people, and it's really important that people have new skills, and skills go out of date. But there is a core of skills that you need to get into your business. You might be moving quickly, you might be shaking up what you do or expanding or something like that. And I think when companies take their eye off the ball with recruiting and deprioritize it, it's just much more difficult for them to get the talent they need in if things pick up or they've got attrition or whatever. So I don't think it's a smart move. Jocelyn, what do you think?
Well, my background is not in talent acquisition. It's more kind of core HR. But I was thinking about this after we'd had a chat before the show around leadership and development, and I thought, like, why would they make that the number one priority? And it hit me that they have to prepare folks for becoming leaders because AI is going to start taking some of these jobs away. And they have to prepare them for soft skills that are more human centric, like analytical thinking, for example, or maybe empathy and human resources, whatever it is. Because again, some of these jobs are going to be replaced. So I wouldn't be surprised if part of that is at play here. Also, because one of the items that was on this list as well was change management, which again kind of cohesively goes together with this idea that the leadership and development might actually be, in fact, in preparation of this AI transformation that we're going to be seeing across the board. So yeah, I can't speak too much to the recruitment side of things, and I'm sorry you're salty about it, but that's my thought.
Yeah, and I think that makes perfect sense. I think that we are in for a big workforce transformation, and you need leaders to push you through that, I suppose. But I don't really like these ranking lists anyway, because it kind of implies that you focus on one thing and not all the others. So a big thumbs down to the list, but a thumbs up for the concept behind it. So quite the situation. So let's shift around into the situation room. Okay, Jocelyn, you're up. Tell us more.
All right. So we have an employee who was working remotely, left their job. I don't think they stated why, and ended up taking a job in an office environment, and immediately felt a lot of stress and frustration because I don't know if it was a he or a she. So they were really struggling with, for example, the workday taking a really long time to pass. So much more so than when they were working remotely, or people who were chit chatting about things that was just distracting and they wanted to just be able to work. So, it's really hard when you're transitioning from a remote environment into an in-person office environment. And I think that there are a few things that employees can do to prepare for something like this. When it comes to it being a long day, I do think it's because when you're at home, nothing else is bothering you. And you're just structured and you're just kind of going for it. When you're in the office, there are lots of little distractions that pop up. So I would highly recommend to an employee that you consider time chunking your day and using that as a time management skill, essentially, to help break up the workday a little bit, but in a way that's going to be efficient for you.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is that when you are actually interviewing for a job in an office environment, you should absolutely speak to what's the culture, what's the environment. If you have an opportunity, maybe you do a shadow day, just so you can get a feel for the difference between being remote or being in the office. And for HR, I think this is a really important thing that everybody is quite focused on when it comes to return to work strategies and how to make people who are working remotely feel comfortable coming back into the office. And there are so many reasons why somebody might feel uncomfortable coming back into the office. It could be because, oh, now stuff's messed up with my daycare, or I really manage my time better at home, or I really like the flexibility, so I could go to a doctor's appointment when I needed to and just manage my time that way. And so it's going to be really critical for HR, and I'm sure many HR professionals listening to this already already know, to put together a strategy to help acclimate those that are coming in from a remote environment into an office space, because you want them to be engaged, you want to retain them, you don't want them leaving, and you want them to be productive and comfortable, and that's kind of really the whole goal out of all this, right? Is having productive, engaged, happy employees.
Yeah, and I think that we're sort of 5 years on from the pandemic now, and there will be people out there who have been in the workforce for 5 years, but have never worked in an office. And they're being asked to do that, or they're moving to a job where they have to do that, and that's a big shift for people if they've never worked in an office before.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because then you have to start thinking too. Like, for example, my sister works for me. She's in marketing, and she's been working for me since college. She's 25 years old. She's been with us for a few years now. She's never worked in an office setting before. And I think she would actually like to, if she had an opportunity, at least a hybrid situation. But, something to really consider too is like office etiquette.
Yeah,
For people who don't know,
Yeah.
how do you behave at
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
It's going to be totally different. You're not hanging out in your PJs at home. There's an expectation. Has HR set that expectation for their workforce?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting one. And have the rules changed? Have the rules of working in an office changed? I don't know. I've not worked in an office for quite some time now, apart from one with myself in. But also, I suppose, bigger picture from this, do you think that we'll ever get to a point where the work remotely / work in person argument is sort of settled for good in terms of what each is good for and what companies should do? Or is it just going to run and run for forever and ever?
Ooh, what a hypothetical. No, I think we will always see it as some form of an issue, in the sense that people are going to have their preference. So they're going to find employers that meet that preference. I don't think it's going to I could see it actually creating, or continue to create, more recruitment problems for those that want employees back in the office.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's going anywhere.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. And I think the office skill set of how to behave in an office with other people is a really interesting one. So, thank you very much, Jocelyn. I think we're going to go to our guest now. So he's kind of approaching. So yeah. Hey, hi Mike. How you doing?
Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm really good. Well, nice to meet you. I would
Yeah.
shake your hand, but my hands are full at the moment.
That's like we got to hold this close. People are loud around here.
Yeah, no, exactly. We've got pipe bands, we've got people drinking. It's all kind of going on, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's conferences for you.
About 15 minutes ago, it was empty up here.
Yeah.
And then I thought that we just had like special VIP. But they're like, no, we're just going to open it up to everyone.
We want an authentic feel for this show. We want you
Yeah.
to feel like it, that you're at the conference with us.
Mhm.
That's the kind of point. So, so you were on the show last week,
I was.
which is more than I was, because there was a slight time
Yeah.
time zone issue with me.
I stayed around to watch your excuse to see like what the reason was. I was just like,
Well,
I'll watch this in the green room.
The reason was because the clocks changed in the US, but they didn't change in the UK.
Yeah.
So I was literally an hour behind everyone and didn't
Yeah.
realize it.
Yeah, Rona did great.
So I watched the end of your interview. I kind of listened to what you were saying last week. So just for people who weren't watching last week, do you want to kind of reintroduce yourself and tell everyone what you do?
Sure. My name is Mike Peditto. I am the Realistic Recruiter. It's a social media account I started a few years ago to talk about navigating job searching and layoffs and things that I had gone through. And I have grown that into a lot more since then, and continue to work in a director of talent level and just sort of try and be that gap. Like I like to think I bridge the gap between like hiring teams and job seekers, because I've been both very recently, and I talk about it on the internet for people.
Yeah, no, fantastic. No, your content's fantastic, and I want to talk about content. I want to talk about Transform a little bit, but before we do, I was one of the things you said in the interview last week that I was desperate to find more about was paid work trials, that you were doing
Okay.
paid work trials for people.
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about that. What does that mean? What are the advantages of it?
So we stole this idea from like several other companies. There's we heard about it first on another podcast. Can't even remember who, and they put out this document talking to companies about it. And what we decided was just sort of like interviews. You know, everyone can interview or they can't, but people's interviews don't reflect the way they work. And also, you don't really get to see a company when you're on an interview either. So we started adopting paid work trials, where we pay you your rate you would make for the week. We figure out what the 1099 rate would be. We calculate it for 80 hours or 40 hours, sorry, and we design a project for you to work on live with the team. We ask you to come to our team meetings and everything like that. And we work around people's schedules. The first pushback is I always hear is like, well, what if I have a job? What if this? Like, we've had to spread it over weeks. We've had to move things at different times. We'll make it work. But we saw it drastically cut down kind of this like quick turnover that was happening.
Wow.
Most people who made it to that point we hired, because that's the goal. We're not trying to put 20 people into one. We're hoping it's a lot more about like validating that we think that it's a good hire. But we've had people come through who've just like, okay, this wouldn't have worked out. You didn't think it would work out. We didn't think it would work out. And we saved a lot of headaches.
No, I think it's amazing. I know other companies that do it have kind of similar results. I just suppose it's the logistics of doing it is kind of what holds people back.
It takes planning, and there's hit or misses, and there's trial and error involved. But it's cool to see and to hopefully see more companies adapt. I started reaching out to companies that I know do it and asking them about it.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's talk transform. So here we all are. Why are you here? What's on your radar? What do you want to find out? What do you want to do? Tell us.
I feel like I'm the only person here without a plan, which maybe it just goes for me. I've never been here. It's my first time. And I'm very new still to even kind of coming out to events like this. I just started kind of doing them. So I wanted to this year. Last year I thought about it and I didn't do it. And I don't know if it was sort of imposter syndrome or what. I was just like, I don't really belong there. And I spent this year, I was just like, I'm going to do it. So I got the tickets. I'm here, and I want to meet people. I want to make cool content from here. I want to make content talking. I want to talk to HR leaders from around the country and the world, and ask them the things job seekers want to know, and show job seekers them saying these things. So that's the goal.
And is there a sort of particular recruiting challenge that you have in your business that you might be looking for inspiration or technology or something like that?
I think right now the issues so many of us are seeing are this just bulk of candidates, right? I think that's what everyone's trying to solve is the 300, 400, 500 people coming through. What's a fair way to actually give people a shot at these roles? And I know a lot of people here are going to be talking about that this week.
No, it's kind of a shame that we're on the. It's not really the first day of the conference. It's been there's been some workshops on today. I went to one that was done by the guys at Paradox about building business cases for AI. It was very, very cool, actually, really, really interesting. But the conference hasn't really started yet, so I feel I want to ask you this question in 3 days' time.
Because you see what I learned. I've gone through. I've bookmarked the talks I want to see and the companies I'm interested in, or the speakers, or the things that I want to kind of learn about. Bring some info back home. I think that right. The funny thing with all this stuff, all this technology, all this AI things that we're all talking about now is we're all figuring it out. So it's interesting to be around so many people just trying to figure it out together.
Yeah, exactly. And have you got a gold star session that you're really looking forward to in your list?
Oh, I do, but I'd have to pull out my phone. I'm going to tell you. I don't memorize these things. Hold on. I'm going to tell you what
That's
I'm
all right.
You know what? I'm just going to answer.
Yeah, just do it.
What's Joel doing? It's Joel. Whatever Joel is saying, that's the one.
Cool.
I think he's doing 2. Those are my 2 gold stars.
Well, there we are. Well, I'm sure he'll be delighted.
Yeah.
And we're playing in a poker tournament later.
We are.
Now, do you play a lot of poker? Is that your thing?
No,
me neither.
When I was in college, right when online poker and the world's poker was becoming popular, I used to play in free rooms where everyone just spends all their money. So I think I'm just going to get out real quick and just kind of talk to people.
Get out and get to the bar. Smart Recruiters are running a poker tournament tonight. I've never played poker. I've never played poker. I've played practice online poker, but not even against real people poker. So I'm guessing this could go extremely badly or extremely quick or very well. So as someone who is you have more experience than me. I'm the newbie, even by your terms.
Good to know.
Give me a tip.
Wait your turn. And what I mean, so the last time I played in a poker tournament was last time I was in Vegas. It was over a decade ago. And my friend really wanted to play in one, so we did. but I didn't know what I was doing. I was probably in the same spot you're in, just like, I don't know how to do any of this. And I was so nervous because everyone at the table was taking it like so serious.
Yeah.
And I kept just like getting anxious and like throwing down a bet or like answering when it wasn't my turn. And people were like, you have to wait. And they'd start like yelling at me. So I don't think you're supposed to give that tip. I think it should be known, but wait your turn.
Well, I don't know. Okay, well, I'll wait for people to start yelling at me.
Yeah, wait for people to be like, it's your turn, and then go.
So, final question. What do you think the future looks like for talent acquisition? Here's a big question to finish on.
Wow.
So we've got all this technology here at Transform, people with amazing sessions talking about innovation and all of those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're doing some cool stuff as well. Where are we going? What's it going to be like in a couple of years' time?
I think we are going to move towards a whole new way hiring happens. So I think I used to argue against this, but now I do think it's time to start moving past the resume. I do think it's time to start, looking at applications that are just like practical skill use applications and doing interviews based on practical skills. And I do think skills-based hiring is going to become bigger. It already is. And, you know, I did a talk recently for some hiring teams about like, we have to embrace candidates using AI, right? There's so much of it. We talk so much about hiring teams using AI, but candidates are using it for everything. And instead of punishing them for it, right, how can we admit that like we want workers who are good with AI and design a process that allows them to use AI well, show off how well they're doing it, and show their skills for this job? That's where I think we're heading.
Yep, it's a battle that employers and TA are never going to win when it comes to candidates and AI. Mike, thank you very much for talking to us. Enjoy the conference, and I will see you at the poker table.
All right, I'll be
the one who doesn't even know what way up the cards should be. Yeah. Okay, let's go to trending or ending. Okay, you're here just in the nick of time. I had to extract you from a conversation over there. Are you having fun? Is the party going well?
It's amazing. I'm enjoying meeting everyone, meeting new people, seeing old friends. I love conferences. I love that in person. And it was so cool to meet you and Jocelyn in person finally.
Yeah, exactly. So you have a conference related trending or ending for us.
Yeah, so the question I'm asking today is swag what people want, or is it experiences what people are expecting? And look, at the end of the day, I love t-shirts, but how many t-shirts can you really have? So I asked some people, and they kind of agree with me because they were talking about things that they had last year here, like massages, headshots. They even said there was a chocolate station. I don't know, is chocolate swag or is it an experience? But the thing is, what people are really, really craving is like those memorable experiences. Because yes, you can get swag, you can get a t-shirt, you wear it once or twice, and it's like, yeah, you remember, but do you really remember? What people remember, and the stories that I heard are, hey, remember that brand last year that did the t-shirts? And everyone's like, oh, or the hats? Oh, yeah, that brand. Well, some person remembers the actual name of the brand.
Yeah.
The t-shirts don't get that effect. No one is really talking about the t-shirt they got from X vendor last year. So I think experiences are really what's in and what really both conferences and vendors should be focusing on. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. This is my second time at Transform, and the one thing I remember really clearly about last year was the puppies. There was like a whole like stand with puppies and things like that, and that was kind of very memorable. I kind of agree with you, but I think a lot of it is because most conference swag is kind of really bad. Let's face it. It wasn't at this conference, but another conference last year. I was kind of doing some analyst work, and someone gave me like some swag. And it was this kind of water bottle coffee thing, and they'd actually embossed my name on it, which was nice. But they told me that they embossed my name on it, so I couldn't leave it behind because they'd know it was me. And I thought that really sums up how this has all gone completely backwards. That rather than memorable gifts or memorable conversations, it's like we are giving you this toxic gift, which we know you don't want, but we put your name on it to shame you to not give it away or use it anywhere else. So that kind of told me a lot about swag being over. But
and there's also companies who've done the smart thing. I was at a conference last year where there was a vendor who did baseball caps or like trucker caps, but you could go to their station and choose how to decorate it. And so it was an experience with swag. People remembered that line was like the longest line. People
Yeah.
remember standing in line, and everyone who wears one of those Team Taylor hats is like, oh my gosh, did you get it at this conference, this conference? So I think really also there could be that mix of both. But that whole putting your name on it.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of remembering what this is, what it's for. It's for people to remember your brand, and to do that, you have to give them something really useful, or something very memorable. And I think that if you're giving away some kind of swag where people are going to use this all the time, I read a really interesting book a couple of weeks ago, and I stupidly can't remember what it's called or what it's by, but it's something like The Art of Gifting, and it's about giving people gifts in a business context. But the gifts are very personal. It's about really thinking about what that person wants, and what they're going to kind of use in the long term. And also, when they're having a great experience, they're kind of like, seeing your brand's name and all that sort of stuff. And I think that swag like that is always going to be trending, but the book standard memory sticks, water bottles, t-shirts, I hope it's ending, and memorable experiences all the way. What's the most memorable experience that you've kind of had in that sort of context?
I think the headshots. I'm always
Headshots.
someone who loves a headshot, and like because I know what goes into it. I like you prep for it. You have to go get your makeup, your hair, everything. You pay the photographer. But when you go to a conference and they do all of that for you, and then you like have a professional headshot at the end of it. I'm always needing new headshots for for everything. So to me, that's
exactly.
always like a super cool experience.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think my last 3 headshots have all come from conferences, and there was a really long time where no one was doing headshot at conferences I went to, so my photo got really out of date, and I looked a lot younger than I actually was. But unfortunately, someone did it, so I got a new one now. So very cool. So we'll look out for some memorable, lasting swag tomorrow, and hopefully some great experiences.
Yeah, I'm so excited tomorrow. I got a sneak peek at the EXP, the session, the floor where they were setting up today. It looks like it's going to be fun, so I can't wait to
Awesome.
see what they're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. You can get back to all your socializing now. So,
Matt Alder, what's happening?
hey,
How are your interviews going?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I was just closing my show.
Well, we're not closing yet, folks.
Oh,
we are
we're
not
not.
closing because
Ah.
you know what we have tomorrow morning?
What?
We have the HR morning show coming at you live from Transform.
There we are.
We got the threesome here. Well, the 3 of us, I should say. We got Danielle, Joel, and myself, and a ton of special guests. And we're going to be on at 10. Melinda, what time? 10 a.m. tomorrow? 10:30 a.m.
Okay.
Pacific time. That's like, I don't know, 11:30 to 1:30 on the East Coast. We're going to be broadcasting live. We have a whole slew of guests coming on. What do you have on your itinerary for tomorrow?
You want saying?
What do you have on your itinerary?
I'll come on your show.
Should we let Matt Alder on our show?
I think we should. I think the thing about your show is you don't have to compete with all of this noise and bagpipes and DJs and stuff.
Well, here's the deal. I'm a really loud-ass New Yorker.
Oh, that's true.
And I could talk over a lot of people, as Ben knows. I will just go over that. So what's a pro tip for anyone out there? Transform. What's a industry event survival tip?
Industry event survival. Always wear comfortable shoes.
Right.
That's number 1.
Sensible.
Drink a lot of water.
Hydrate.
And also have a plan before you go about what you want to get out of it, who you want to speak to, why you want to speak to them. If you're going to see vendors, plan that out in advance. Look at the map. Because sometimes these expo floors are quite big. You can kind of get lost and miss what you want to do. So I think, to me, it's always having a plan.
And the same thing with the speakers, too. You guys have the agenda. Think about the content that you want to engage with, the content you want to see, the speakers that you want to see, and set a plan. Listen, you're not going to be able to do everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
And get some sleep. Hydrate.
Yeah,
Hydration.
totally.
All right, big fan of your show. Matt, bring it home.
Thank you. Okay, so for the second time, thank you very much for watching this show. We are live from Transform. I can actually barely hear myself speak now, so hopefully you can hear me. Thank you to Rona, to Jocelyn, to Ben, Melinda, to Adam, to Mike, and everyone else who's made this episode possible. You can check out the HR Morning Show tomorrow, live from the Expo Shore floor. Purple Acorn have lots of other shows. Check their website out to find out more. This is Matt Order, clocking out and going for a beer.